Hey everybody, what's going on? So I want to do my first episode of Guns N' Roses book reviews. So the book I'm talking about is basically Duff Mckagan's book, It's So Easy and Other Lies. This is actually one of two books Duff has actually written, and this was actually sort of, I think, the first Guns N' Roses book I ever read. I kind of picked it up. I didn't really know what to expect, and I gotta say, Duff is a very good writer, and that's largely why this book is so good. If you guys have to pick up one book related to Guns N' Roses, I would probably say it's this book. And I say that so just because it's just written in such a way that's different from like Slash's book and some of the other books I've read. It flips around a lot, and you'll be reading it and you'll be like, okay, Duff's now talking about being a kid, and then he talks about a different period in his life, and it kind of like doesn't make sense at first, but the way he's able to write it, it all blends together really well. And he talks, of course, a lot about Guns N' Roses. He talks a lot about growing up. But he also talks a lot about, being an addict and being an alcoholic, and how he actually dealt with that. He talked about the time when his pancreas burst in 1994 and how he got through that. And that's really where a lot of the book is actually the most interesting, talking about his recovery, how he got into kickboxing, leaving Guns N' Roses. He actually doesn't go into a lot of detail about that period of Guns N' Roses from like 1994 to 1997. It's kind of glossed over, and during that period, he's more talking about his recovery from his pancreas exploding. And that may disappoint some people. It disappointed me a bit. That's the only one critique I have about the book. But he does talk a little bit about how he left Guns N' Roses and how he told Axl. And then he gets into, of course, forming Velvet Revolver, doing his side project, going back to school. It's definitely not as, I guess you could say, thrilling as Slash's book, but it's easily the best Guns N' Roses book I've read, and I highly recommend you guys go check it out. There's some really great Guns N' Roses stories in here about, he talks about playing Prague, which is, Czech Republic, was a place that a lot of bands didn't play back in 1992, but Guns N' Roses were one of those bands that did play it. And he talks about waking up the morning after the show and looking at his passport and not even remembering playing the show. Like, he was so out of it during that tour that he didn't even remember the places he was playing. And you really do feel for the guy. But then you read the rest of the book, and he comes across as a very level-headed guy. He doesn't have a huge ego to deal with like a lot of the rock stars we hear about. So if you guys are going to pick up a Guns N' Roses book, I definitely recommend you guys pick up Duff Mckagan's book. I'll do a review of his second book here shortly, How to Be a Man and Other Illusions, but definitely do yourself a favor if you haven't picked it up, go pick it up. That does it for today's video. Have you guys read Duff's book? Comment down below and let me know what you think of it. How does it compare to some of the other Guns N' Roses books that are out there? Let me know as well. Thanks for watching, guys, and make sure you subscribe for all things related to Guns N' Roses, including the latest news. Take care.